and welcome to Uncultured Purls. This is my knitting podcast where I talk about the things I'm working on, the things I'm planning on working on, really anything about yarn, knitting, crochet. I love it all, and hopefully you do too. Today is Saturday, January 7th, 2022. My name is Lucy. I'm coming at you from Richmond, Virginia, where it's a beautiful sunny day, around 50 degrees Fahrenheit or so. I actually wanted to have these blinds open for the video, but it was too bright. You couldn't see anything. So I had to shut them. It's a great day to be outside, but also every day is a great day to be inside talking about knitting. This is episode 4. Can't remember if I've said that already, but let's get into it. I have 2 finished objects, a bunch of whips, and then one thing I'm planning that I want to talk about. So I will start with the finished objects. I have showed these before. It is this pair of socks that I finally finished. These are the Vanilla Socks by Crazy Sock Lady. And I did the medium size using, just checking my notes so I don't get it wrong, using Wonderland yarns in the color Haunted Harvest. And I didn't really block these. I don't have sock blockers yet, and honestly, it didn't seem to need to be blocked. I know they don't look absolutely perfect, but they kind of get blocked on your feet, don't they? Let's be real. But there they are. They look good. This yarn has a really cool pattern to it. And my goal had been to finish these before Christmas, and I actually did. I had to bring them with me, not quite finished, to my sister's house for the holiday, but I was able to finish them on the 23rd so I could wear them. And it was great because we had a super cold snap on Christmas Eve and Christmas. It was astoundingly cold for Virginia. Virginia usually doesn't really get that cold. But this, like during the day, the temperature didn't get above 17 or 18 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's chilly. So it was really nice to wear these bad boys. My feet were nice and toasty. I will say they're a little bit too big. I don't know if my gauge was off or if this particular yarn is kind of loose or if just the pattern is too big for me. So next time I'm going to try doing the small size in this pattern and see if that fits a little better. I mean, they're wearable for me, but they are not very tight on my feet. They feel like they're kind of drooping when I wear them. But I'm very happy with them and happy that they are finished and I can move on to something else. So the other finished object I actually finished several months ago, and it was a gift for my sister for Christmas. And I filmed a clip of that before Christmas, which I will try to play right now. My editing skills are non-existent, so wish me luck, but hopefully we will cut to that clip now. Hey everyone, it's pre-Christmas Lucy here. Sorry if you can hear the wind howling in my balcony door. It's crazy windy right now. But before I give this item away as a gift to my sister for Christmas, I wanted to show you all one other finished object that I have that I finished maybe a month or 2 ago in preparation for Christmas. is this. This is the Dustland Shawl by Stephen West. And like I said, I made this for my sister. It is huge, like all Stephen West patterns are. You can take a look at the texture. It's a very beginner-friendly Stephen West shawl because you can make it in just one color. And it uses a bunch of different textured stitches, but it's all just knits and purls. So there's garter ridges, there's like a broken rib, I think one of these is moss stitch, and something else. But I did this in Purl Soho's Good Wool, which is a DK weight, and the color I used is apple cider. And I used the recommended needle size, which is a US 7 or 4.5 millimeter. And just to kind of show you what it looks like, you can do a really huge wrap situation. It just keeps going. It's really huge. Kind of more of a scarf than an actual shawl, but you could wear it as a shawl too and just kind of, you know, drape it around your shoulders instead. Really clashes with my sweatshirt that I've got on, but my sister said she likes orange, so I think she'll be happy with this. I'll let you know what she thinks about it in the regular video. But there it is. I'm happy with how it turned out. It's really squishy, and I think it'll keep her warm. All right, so that was the Dustland shawl. It was a very fun project. Anything by Stephen West is a lot of fun. So those were my two finished objects. Next, I will talk about a whip that you have seen, I think, in every episode so far. It is quite a long-term one. But it, of course, is the Half and Half Triangles wrap by Purl Soho. And I made pretty good progress since last time. I've been knitting on this a lot, but it's such a huge project that, of course, I'm not finished. But I put a stitch marker in it last time, if any of you joined me for that video. So that marker is right here. And that means I have knitted this whole purple section up from there, which is a pretty good amount. And actually this entire dark purple swath of it has been one skein of yarn. So this is the Linen Quill by Purl Soho. And this is how much I have left of the first skein. So I don't think I'm gonna use all three of the dark purple for this. I actually used almost all three skeins of this light purple, kind of a mauve, is that what this is? I don't know. This color, I used almost all of the three skeins. But I think there's more yardage in this dark purple color for whatever reason. Like, it's not completely uniform how much yarn you get. So like, here is my next skein of this dark purple, and it's really huge. It's caked up much bigger than the lighter color. So I'm thinking it just kind of, their machinery ended up giving you more yarn in this dark purple. But I still have a ways to go. Like, it's hard to not get a little discouraged with this project because here's the number of rows that I still have to do. These are all the short rows that I resolved from the light color with that one row of the dark color. But I'm connecting each time, so each one represents another row that I have to do, and the rows are getting longer and longer and longer. So even though it seems like I've made it halfway or more up this diagonal, I have probably more than half of the dark color to do. But with this project, my new goal, I have many goals. I don't always meet the goals, but what's life if you don't give things a shot? So my goal is to be able to knit without looking. I can kind of knit a handful of stitches without looking, but I want to be able to just power through 50 stitches without looking down and not have mistakes, because then I'll be able to watch TV much more effectively while I'm knitting. And I thought this would be a great project to practice that on, because you're just doing knit stitches over and over and over until you get to the middle where you do a short row stitch and you turn. But the vast majority of this is just knit stitches. So I've been trying to do 5 stitches without looking, and then look down and check, make sure I haven't messed it up. Maybe do 10 stitches without looking, then look back down. It's going okay. I can do a bunch of stitches without messing it up, and then for whatever reason I'll do one and I won't manage to pull the yarn through properly, so that it kind of, it's hard to describe what's happening, but it either splits the yarn and I don't notice and it's messed up, or it only kind of pulls the yarn through one leg of the existing stitch. I don't know. I'd have to show you in a video to really explain what's happening, but it's then annoying. I have to take back 10 stitches or so and correct it. I guess it's just going to be a long project to get to that point where I can confidently knit without looking. But I've only been at this for a couple years. I imagine it will take me many more to really be great at that. Okay, I think that's it for the half and half, which brings me to the 2 new whips that I have cast on. And the first one is another sock. It is in this gorgeous yarn. I showed this yarn when I bought it. It is the Lang Yarns Super Sock Color 4-ply. There it is. And I think this color just has a number to it. It doesn't have a name. It says COL and then that number. But it's looking really nice knitted up. It's like kind of self-striping, but not in a uniform way. So there's browns right there, and then this light blue, but the brown hasn't shown up again yet. So it's kind of a randomized sort of self-striping thing. And I am doing the vanilla sock pattern by Crazy Sock Lady again, but this time I'm doing the small size, so hopefully it fits me a little bit better. Again, I'm using Magic Loop on a US 1. And I'm changing the pattern a little bit too, because I felt like in the first one I did, the leg part is very long. Like, I don't usually need my socks to go up that high. Most of my boots are kind of ankle boot type of things. And I was a little worried with this yarn that I would have enough, I didn't really check the yardage, but I don't think it's as much as the Wonderland yarns, and I really didn't want to run out. So what I am doing is knitting fewer rows on the leg part. So I think the cuff was supposed to be 20 rows. I think I only did 12 or something. I wrote this down somewhere. I will have to check it. And then I'm not done with the leg yet, but I think she calls for 50 rows, and I'm probably only gonna do 30 or maybe 40. We'll see how it looks when I'm doing it. But yeah, it's nice. This yarn is a little bit rougher than the Wonderland yarns, but it feels like it's very sturdy for a sock. Hopefully that means the sock will last and hold up very well to wearing. So I'm a little worried that this Wonderland yarn is not gonna hold up super well because it feels very soft and kind of light almost. And this is kind of grippier and rougher, but I like it a lot. So that is that whip, and then I cast on one other whip, which I will explain. It kind of goes hand in hand with the project that I'm planning to start, because I want to make a colorwork sweater. I have made one colorwork sweater in my life, which I have here, so I'll show you. But there's a problem with it, which is kind of a theme of today's video, is times when Lucy used acrylic yarn when she really genuinely should not have. And so, you know, you live and you learn from these things, don't you? So here is my colorwork sweater. It is the first sweater that I ever made. I'm very proud of myself for trying it and doing it. It worked out well. It fits me decently. This pink right here, I just sewed that in there to show which is the back, so it's easier for me to put it on. But I actually don't wear it very often. I think I've only worn it once or twice. I finished this last year or possibly the year before at this point. I should say what it is as well. It's the Fern and Feather pattern by Jennifer Steinglass, which is on Ravelry. It's a paid for pattern that costs $7. And I knitted this in Karen Simply Soft, which is an acrylic yarn. I didn't know better at the time. And I'll say as well, there's nothing wrong with acrylic yarn. There's a lot of yarn snobs in the world who despise acrylic. I don't despise it. I think it's great for certain projects. I'll never say a word against it except that it never biodegrades, which makes me a little sad, because now this is gonna exist in the world for eternity. Whereas if I made it out of yarn, eventually it would decompose and go back to the earth or whatever. Anyway, the pattern was fun to do. It's just this white, it's a 2-color colorwork yoke. It's got a rolled neckline, which does not look very flattering on me, to be honest, unfortunately. And then I'm trying to think if there's much shaping. Yeah, there are some decreases in here. So there's a little bit of shaping to the body, and then a ribbed hem. and long sleeves with ribbing at the sleeves. It is a quite soft yarn, but the acrylic just is not breathable at all when it's on your body. And I mean, it's soft, but it's very hot, and it's just not a good experience when it's on. So I learned from this. I practiced. It helped me read patterns. It helped me figure out how to break for the sleeves and body and all of that, but it's not perfect. And I decided, now that I've been knitting for a while, I would try another colorwork pattern for a sweater, and I would use actual wool yarn and hopefully have a finished product that I love and get a lot of wear out of. So what I plan to do before I actually start the sweater, though, is do some more colorwork practice, because that sweater plus one hat, which I couldn't find for this video, have been the only colorwork I've done. And I wanted, before I embark on this journey to create a sweater, I wanted to get a little more practice so that I hopefully do a better job on the sweater, and I'm really happy with it at the end. So what I decided to cast on is this. Just got yarn hanging off of it, so it's hard to show. You can probably tell what this is. It is a colorwork mitten. Specifically, it is the Warm and Thick Flower Mittens by Jennifer Turmel, which is a free pattern on Ravelry. So I decided, what better way to get some practice than with a free pattern, and I'm just using some old acrylic yarn that I had in my stash already. You can see that one is Red Heart Super Saver. The white is Impeccable, which I think is the Michaels brand. And the pattern has a colorwork chart, which I have only followed twice and wanted to get more practice. I haven't gotten that far with it because honestly, this is quite hard on my hands. It's extremely dense because it's colorwork and because you're using a much smaller needle than you probably should for this yarn. Because this is worsted weight yarn. And what needle is this? 2.75 millimeter needle is what she called for. I guess because she's trying to make a really warm mitten that is double thickness because of the floats and will keep your hands really warm in the winter. And so she wanted it to be super dense. But the consequence of that is that you're trying to stick this tiny needle into these big, thick yarn stitches, and it's not easy going. But it is helping me with color work. So I briefly tried to do color work holding both strands in my left hand. So I should go back and say that I knit continental. And I thought maybe it would be easy for me to hold both in my left hand and just pick the color that I need for each stitch with my right hand. I tried that for a few rows, but I just couldn't get the hang of it. Really, my two strands kept coming together, so I couldn't get the needle between them to pick the proper one without accidentally scooping both of them. And I imagine if I kept at it, I would eventually get better at that, but I kind of decided it wasn't for me. And I went back to the way that I knit this one, which was holding one strand in each hand. So doing my regular continental with the left and then throwing with the right for the other color. And I've improved a little bit, I think. The other thing I've done to try to practice is on my half and half triangles wrap. I've knitted some of that with the yarn in my right hand, kind of flicking or whatever. I've never knit English. Because I'm a crocheter, I just went straight into continental because it seemed like it translated very well since I already held my yarn in my left hand for crochet. So it's been hard to get the hang of doing it with my right hand. My hand has been kind of sore and tired from trying that, but I want to get better at it because color work looks so pretty. I would love to be able to just, clickety clack and crank out the stitches nearly as fast as I do with regular knitting, but we shall see if I get to that point. So now I will finally mention the project that I'm planning on doing, this colorwork sweater. I want to make the Luma sweater. I think that's how it's pronounced. Don't quote me on that. I will insert a picture if editing Lucy can figure out how to do that. It is a pattern by Sari Nordland, and it's pretty popular, I think, on YouTube. It's a very classic looking two-color colorwork with the colorwork yoke and then little colorwork accents on the sleeves. And so I have ordered yarn to make that sweater. Sadly, my yarn order did not arrive. I wanted to feature it in the video, but it's not here yet, so I will show it next time when it arrives. But I'm planning to make that, and hopefully it goes okay. I will keep you guys updated. And then I have one other thing to show. This is a fail that I'm hoping to salvage. Like, this is a theme on Uncultured Purls that will probably continue through the life of the channel. I screw things up pretty often. I guess everybody does when you're crafting. Like, if it went perfect all the time, it wouldn't be fun. But here is my latest fail. Well, not even my latest. This was a fail from about 6 months ago that I haven't fixed yet. It's been kind of sitting in a cardboard box waiting for me to figure out what I want to do. It is huge. It is this craziness right here. Let me tell you what it is. This is the Amma Cal, A-M-M-A Cal, by Tina Torusdottir Torvaldsdottir. She is an Icelandic crochet designer who does primarily mosaic crochet. And so I crocheted this last year. It is a huge blanket, it's supposed to be a queen size bed blanket made up of these squares, which are quite lovely. It's all mosaic crochet with different centers to each square. Can I show you another one? Yeah. And then, this nice dark border around all of them. And again, I crocheted this out of Karen's Simply Soft yarn, acrylic yarn, when I should not have. Because Tina recommends using Letlopi, which I've never worked with, but I have heard that it is a very rustic Icelandic yarn that is grippy. It's pretty easy to break. In her tutorials, she always just, pulls it and breaks it when she's switching to a new color. but it's soft yet scratchy, that kind of thing. So it has a lot of grip. It kind of grips against itself to make a very sturdy finished product. Well, she had this certain way of switching colors between rounds where you kind of crocheted over the end of the one color you were just using, instead of getting a needle and weaving in the end. She kind of just had the shortcut way of doing it. And I followed that shortcut, but she was doing it with Let Lopey. I was doing it with Caron Simply Soft. And Caron Simply Soft is very smooth. It's an acrylic yarn that does feel very soft on the skin, but it has no grip to it. You know, the individual fibers are not rough and scratchy and grippy in the same way that Let Lopey is. So once I finished this, I decided I was going to wash it. Also, I'm planning to give this to my mom. The whole time this was designed to be a present for my mom. It's not a secret present, she knows about it. But I wanted to wash it before I gave it to her. So with acrylic yarn, I feel like washing it it's like blocking, but a cheap and easy version of blocking. It kind of like uniforms all the stitches and makes it look nicer. So I put this in the washing machine. You probably know where this is going. Gave it a wash, pulled it out, and here's what happened. In several places, like this, if I can get into the middle, the very centers of the squares came unraveled. This was the end, and it pulled free, and the very center of it just came out. And it's not one or two squares, it's a bunch. Like this one started a little bit. Here's a pink one that's doing the same thing. I didn't count, but it's a bunch of them. And so I have to figure out how to fix it. To be honest, I was tempted to throw the thing in the trash. But then we go back to the point that this stuff never biodegrades. And so it's just gonna sit on the planet forever. I might as well try to fix it so that my mom can get some use out of it. And then when it completely disintegrates, well, it's never going to completely disintegrate, but when it falls apart to the point that it's not useful, then we can trash it. But I have more yarn. I don't have all the colors left, but I have white and the dark blue and some of the colors. So I think I'm gonna try to crochet just like a little circle, whether it be white or any other color, a circle about that size, and then with a yarn needle and more yarn, just stitch it, probably messily, but like just so that there's no hole there. Stitch it together as best I can and salvage this. And then give it to my mom and wash my hands of it and move on with my life. But I mean, these things happen, right? You know, it's like making the wrong size of a sweater and it doesn't fit, or I don't know. There's thousands of ways that we can screw up our knitting. It's always a little sad when you do though, because I can't even count how many hours I spent making that thing just to have it fall apart in the washer. Yeah. I feel like I should end on something happier than that, but I don't know what. Oh, I do know what. Because I said last time I want to talk about books. Voila. As you know, I am reading Harry Potter. I think last time I was on book 2. Let me grab the other book. So, of course, now I have made it to book 3. Here it is. I'm actually almost done. If you can see my bookmark, I just have less than 100 pages, so I'm hoping to finish this weekend. And after that, I'm not sure if I will go straight into book 4. I love Harry Potter and I love reading it, but sometimes you want to read something where you genuinely don't know what's going to happen next. And I might need a break to read something that I haven't read yet and then go back to these. But it's funny when you watch the movies for so long and I forget that they're not exactly the same as the books. So there's a few things that have not been in the book that are in the movie, and I'm kind of expecting a certain scene and then that scene doesn't happen and I'm like, oh, right. They added that for the movie, okay. And vice versa, things that they left out of the movies. But it's been fun, and hopefully I'll continue with those. Oh, last time I also talked about diamond painting, that I want to do that. I still want to do it. I have not ordered myself a diamond painting kit yet. We're just coming off of Christmas, and I just ordered the yarn to make this Luma sweater. So I kind of had to put a pause on buying entertainment type of things. I would like to buy a house someday. I'm renting this place, and so I'm trying to save as much money as I can. When you have an expensive hobby like knitting, you have to find other ways to save money. I'm sure you all get it. You know, we're in the same boat here, trying to not blow all our money on this thing we love. But is that it? I think that's it. Pretty sure that's it. I hope you all had a lovely holiday and New Year, and that great things will happen to all of you in 2023. You know, we're on that upswing ever since 2020, right? Like, it can only get better and better. So cheers to that, and thank you for watching. Please do subscribe if you haven't. That would really help me out. So if you enjoyed this video at all and would ever want to watch me in the future, hit the subscribe so that YouTube will recommend my videos to you in the future. And thank you so much for being here. Take care, and I will see you next time.